The perfect lie. The marble floors of the penthouse gleamed like mirrors, reflecting the late afternoon sun that streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows. Victoria Sterling sat carefully on the edge of their custom Italian sofa, her hand resting on the pronounced curve of her belly at 8 months and 3 weeks pregnant. The baby kicked restlessly, as if sensing her unease. Marcus Blackwood moved through their bedroom with the fluid precision of a man who had never questioned his own decisions. At 39, he commanded respect in every boardroom he entered. His pharmaceutical company, Sterling Dynamics, having revolutionized pain management medications. His salt and pepper hair was perfectly styled, his Armani suit pressed to perfection, and his confidence radiated like heat from summer pavement. "The Dubai deal is too important to postpone," he said, emerging with his leather weekend bag. "The Al Mansouri Group won't wait. If we don't secure this distribution agreement, we lose the entire Middle Eastern market." Victoria watched him check his Rolex, the same gesture he'd made before 100 other crucial trips. Something felt different this time, a tightness in her chest that had nothing to do with her pregnancy. "The doctor said I could deliver any day now, Marcus. What if—" "Victoria." He knelt beside her, taking her hands in his manicured ones. "I've arranged everything. Grace knows to call me the second anything happens. My pilot has clearance for immediate departure from Dubai. I'll be back before our son even thinks about making his entrance." His eyes held hers with practiced sincerity, the same look that had convinced investors to fund his research, that had charmed her into marriage 5 years ago. But pregnancy had sharpened her instincts, made her notice things she'd previously overlooked. "Which hotel are you staying at?" she asked casually. "The Burj Al Arab Presidential Suite." The answer came without hesitation, too smooth, too ready. "Camilla booked everything yesterday." Camilla Voss, his 28-year-old assistant, with the sharp cheekbones and ambitious eyes. Victoria had always found her unnervingly efficient. The way she anticipated Marcus's needs before he voiced them, the way she'd somehow afford designer clothes on an assistant's salary. Marcus kissed her forehead, a brief, distracted gesture. "I love you both. Take care of our little prince." The penthouse door clicked shut with finality. Victoria sat in the sudden quiet, listening to the distant hum of the city below. Something was wrong. The feeling sat in her stomach like a stone. Growing heavier with each passing minute, she reached for her laptop, her journalist sister Grace having taught her a few investigative tricks over the years. A quick search revealed Sterling Dynamics. Private jet had filed a flight plan 3 hours ago. But the destination wasn't Dubai, it was Maldives. The betrayal hit her like ice water. The Maldives, romantic, secluded paradise for lovers, not Dubai, not business, not the truth. Her phone buzzed. A notification from Instagram, someone she followed had posted a new story. Camilla Voss. With trembling fingers, Victoria opened it. The image was breathtaking. An overwater villa suspended above crystal-clear turquoise waters, taken from what looked like a private deck. The caption read simply, "Finally here." But it was the reflection in the sliding glass door behind Camilla that stopped Victoria's heart. A man's silhouette, tall and familiar, adjusting his collar in that distinctive way Marcus always did. At that exact moment, a sharp pain tore through her lower back, wrapping around her abdomen like a steel cable tightening. Victoria gasped, her laptop sliding off her lap. Another contraction followed within minutes, stronger than any she'd experienced. Her water hadn't broken yet, but she knew. Their son was coming. She stared at her phone, Marcus's contact glowing on the screen. One call would bring him racing back, full of apologies and explanations. But the image of that reflected silhouette burned in her mind. Victoria Sterling had spent 5 years being the perfect wife to an imperfect man. As another contraction gripped her, she realized she was done being perfect. She was done being a fool. Instead of calling her husband, she dialed her sister. Labor of love and loss. The sterile corridors of Metropolitan General Hospital echoed with Victoria's labored breathing as Grace Monroe wheeled her through the emergency entrance. Grace, 2 years younger but infinitely fiercer, had arrived at the penthouse within 20 minutes of Victoria's call, her dark eyes blazing with protective fury. Paradise lost. The infinity pool at the Soneva-Jani resort seemed to melt into the Indian Ocean, creating an illusion of endless blue stretching to the horizon. Marcus Blackwood floated on his back, a mojito balanced on his chest, while tropical fish swam beneath the glass floor of their overwater villa. Camilla Voss emerged from the villa wearing a barely-there bikini that had cost more than most people's monthly rent. Her blonde hair caught the Maldivian sun like spun gold, and her smile was predatory in its perfection. "Still worrying about wifey?" she asked, slipping into the water beside him with practiced grace. Marcus sighed, checking his phone for the 3rd time in an hour. "I sent her a message hours ago. Usually she responds immediately." Camilla rolled her eyes, a calculated display of frustration. "Marcus, darling, she's probably napping. Pregnant women sleep constantly. Besides, isn't this exactly what you needed? Time away from all that domestic heaviness?" She'd been planting these seeds for months, the suggestion that Victoria had become boring, demanding, focused only on the baby instead of Marcus's needs. Camilla had positioned herself as the exciting alternative, the woman who understood his ambition and matched his drive. What Marcus didn't notice was the man with the telephoto lens hidden among the palm trees 50 meters away. Detective Rico Santos had been photographing their romantic getaway for the past 2 days, commissioned by Miranda Cross to document evidence of the affair. Rico was ex-military, patient as death, and had captured enough compromising images to sink a battleship. "You're right," Marcus said, pulling Camilla closer. "This is exactly what I needed. You understand me in ways Victoria never could." Camilla's smile sharpened. This was the opening she'd been waiting for. "Marcus, I've been thinking, what if this wasn't just a vacation? What if it was the beginning of something permanent?" "What do you mean?" "I mean, what if you stopped pretending to be happy in that marriage? You've outgrown her, Marcus. She's holding you back from your full potential. Sterling Dynamics could go global with the right partner by your side. Someone who speaks your language." Marcus felt a thrill of possibility mixed with guilt. The guilt was getting easier to ignore each day. "Camilla, I can't just abandon my family." "Why not? Men do it every day. You'd provide financially, of course. But emotionally, intellectually, you deserve someone who challenges you." She traced patterns on his chest with her finger. "Someone who makes you feel alive." 300 miles away in Rome, Detective Santos uploaded his latest batch of photos to an encrypted server. Marcus and Camilla kissing in the pool. Marcus feeding her champagne and caviar on the beach. The two of them dancing on the villa's deck under the stars, while Victoria labored to bring their son into the world. But Rico had captured something else, something that would prove even more damaging. Through the villa's windows, he'd photographed Marcus's laptop screen showing Sterling Dynamics financial records. Marcus had been transferring company funds to shell accounts in the Cayman Islands, preparing for what looked like either massive tax evasion or embezzlement. "Stupid rich boys," Rico muttered, reviewing the images. "Always leave their computers open when they think they're safe." Back at the villa, Marcus was warming to Camilla's vision of their future. "The prenup with Victoria is ironclad," he said. "She'd get the minimum required by law, but nothing more. We could start fresh, build something incredible together." Camilla's heart raced with triumph. "We could get married right here in the Maldives. Imagine the photos, us exchanging vows. At sunset over the ocean, it would be the wedding of the century. What about Victoria, the baby?" "Marcus, Camilla's voice turned cold, calculating. She'll survive. Women always do. But you have one life, one chance at true happiness. Don't waste it on obligation when you could have passion. As they planned their hypothetical future, Marcus's phone buzzed with another message from Grace. This one was different, not asking where he was, but simply stating Victoria had the baby. A boy. 8 lbs, 3 Oz. Oliver Sterling. Mother and child are healthy? Marcus stared at the message, a cold fist of reality closing around his heart. His son had been born. He'd missed it entirely. What is it? Camilla asked, noting his expression. The baby came. I have a son. For a moment, the weight of what he'd done crashed over him. He'd missed the birth of his first child for a romantic vacation with his assistant. Camilla quickly moved to contain the damage. That's wonderful news, darling. See, everything worked out perfectly. Victoria was fine without you there. Now you can go back, handle the logistics, and then we can make our real plans. But as Marcus looked out over the perfect blue waters of his paradise, he couldn't shake the feeling that he'd just lost something irreplaceable. He'd gained a son and destroyed his marriage in the same moment, and for the first time since arriving in the Maldives, the paradise felt like a prison. Part 4. The Reckoning Returns. Marcus Blackwood's key turned in the penthouse lock at 6:47 a.m. on a grey Tuesday morning. He'd flown through the night from the Maldives via Dubai to maintain his cover story, his skin still bearing a suspicious tan that he'd tried to downplay with concealer. The apartment felt different, colder, more sterile than usual. Victoria, he called softly, not wanting to wake the baby. I'm home. Silence greeted him. He found them in the nursery, Victoria sitting in the rocking chair, feeding Oliver, who was indeed perfect with his dark hair and serious expression. Grace stood beside them like a guardian angel, her arms crossed and her face unreadable. There he is, Grace said, her voice dripping with false sweetness, the world's most dedicated businessman. How was Dubai, Marcus? Something in her tone made his stomach clench, but he pushed forward with his practiced explanation. Exhausting but successful. The Al Mansouri deal is signed. I'm so sorry I missed. Don't. Victoria's voice was quiet, but sharp as a blade. She didn't look up from Oliver. Please don't lie anymore. I can't take any more lies. Marcus's mouth went dry. Victoria, what are you talking about? I know the timing was terrible, but the deal... There was no deal. Victoria finally met his eyes, and what he saw there terrified him. Not anger, something worse, complete indifference. There was no Dubai, Marcus. There was no Al Mansouri group meeting. There was just you and Camilla Voss in an overwater villa in the Maldives, while I gave birth to our son alone. The world tilted beneath Marcus's feet. How could you possibly... Grace pulled out her phone, swiping through a folder labeled Evidence. Flight records showing your jet's actual destination. Camilla's Instagram posts geotagged to Soneva Jani Resort. Credit card records showing charges to Maldivian restaurants and spas. Should I continue? Marcus's mind raced, looking for an exit, an explanation, anything. Victoria, please let me explain. The trip just got complicated and... Stop. Victoria stood, still holding Oliver, who slept peacefully against her shoulder. Stop lying to my face. Stop insulting my intelligence. And definitely stop pretending you care about this family when you chose to miss your son's birth for a vacation with your mistress. A thick manila envelope sat on the changing table. Victoria nodded toward it. Those are divorce papers, Marcus. I filed yesterday morning while you were sipping champagne in paradise. Miranda Cross is my attorney. The name hit Marcus like a physical blow. Miranda Cross was legendary, a legal assassin who destroyed more unfaithful husbands than a biblical plague. Victoria, please, we can work this out. Think about Oliver. Think about our family. I am thinking about Oliver. Victoria's voice grew stronger with each word. I'm thinking about raising him to respect women, to honor his commitments, to be a man of integrity, none of which he'll learn from you. Grace stepped forward with another document. This is a restraining order. You have 1 hour to pack your essentials. Everything else will be inventoried by the court. You can't just kick me out of my own home. Actually, I can. Victoria's smile was cold as winter. See, while you were planning your future with Camilla, Miranda's team discovered some interesting financial irregularities. Those Cayman Islands accounts you thought were so clever, the funds you've been siphoning from Sterling Dynamics, that's embezzlement, Marcus. Federal crime. The color drained from Marcus's face. You're bluffing. Miranda Cross materialized in the doorway as if summoned. Her silver hair pulled back severely and her navy suit immaculate. She was 62 years old and had the predatory elegance of a shark. Mr. Blackwood, I've been looking forward to meeting you. Miranda. Victoria shifted Oliver to her other arm. This is my soon-to-be ex-husband. Marcus, meet the woman who's going to take you apart piece by piece. Miranda opened her briefcase with surgical precision. Mr. Blackwood, my investigators have uncovered quite an interesting pattern. $7 million transferred to offshore accounts over the past 18 months. Money that belongs to Sterling Dynamics Research and Development Fund. Money that you've been using to finance your extracurricular activities. Marcus felt the walls closing in. Those were legitimate business expenses. A $50,000 weekend in Monaco, a $75,000 necklace for Ms. Voss, private jets to romantic destinations while claiming tax deductions for business travel. Miranda's smile was razor-sharp. The FBI's Financial Crimes Division finds these business expenses quite fascinating. What do you want? Marcus whispered. Full custody of Oliver for Victoria, with supervised visitation only after you complete court-ordered therapy. The penthouse, which was purchased with embezzled funds, remains with Victoria. Half of all legitimate assets, plus damages for adultery and fraud. And Mr. Blackwood? Miranda's eyes glittered with malicious joy. I want you to understand that this is just the beginning. By the time I'm finished with you, you'll be lucky to afford a studio apartment in Queens. As if on cue, Marcus's phone rang. Camilla's name flashed on the screen. Victoria glanced at it and laughed. Actually laughed. Answer it, she said. Tell her how her paradise vacation just cost you everything. Marcus stared at the phone until it stopped ringing. When he looked up, Oliver was watching him with solemn green eyes that were unmistakably his mother's. His son, the child he'd abandoned for a fantasy that was already crumbling. Victoria, please. Goodbye, Marcus. She walked past him toward the door, Grace flanking her like a bodyguard. Your hour starts now. As the door closed behind them, Marcus Blackwood stood alone in the ruins of his perfect life, finally understanding the true price of paradise.